Tonight on Nova Legends podcast, we have our 2025 coaches panel, our inaugural coaches panel of the year. Really appreciate these guys getting on the phone, getting on the Zoom, and talking about their teams and what's going on in high school basketball. Uh, Joining me once again, Mr. Mike Desmond, Coach Desmond, coach of the defending champions South Lake Seahawks, off to a really good start. Mike played his high school ball at Chantilly, as he always reminds us. Also on the call, we got David Houston from West Potomac. Coach David I think he's back-to-back regional Patriot district champions. They're not back-to-back. We won the Patriot last year, the year before last. Last year you won the region. But anyway, definitely been
You
giving
had
his
it
West
right.
Potomac
You had
teams.
it right. Back to back was right. You had it
Oh, I
right.
was right. Okay, yeah, I thought so. Anyway, does a great job at West Potomac, and also, of course, postseason. That's his gig. Also joining me is Coach Carlos Poindexter from Hayfield. Uh, Coach has gotten his team to the last, I believe, three or maybe even four state tournaments in a row, and he won two back-to-back state titles, only losing one game. Coach also played ball at Hayfield. I didn't mention that Coach Houston played at West Springfield. Um, and then I got Coach Tony Bentley. Coach Tony played his ball at Washington, back then Washington Lee, Washington Liberty. Has been coaching Wakefield. Coaches, I think it's going on 20 years, 21 years now, Coach.
A little bit longer than that, but who's counting?
Yeah, I remember you were the kid on the bench, but
Yeah.
Coach has made multiple runs to the state tournament, won some regionals, done a great job. They had a great year last year, and his team is off to a decent start in a wide open Liberty district. And also back with me is Coach Doug Craig at Woodson. Coach Craig is he's won a state title at Woodson. I believe Coach is from Pennsylvania, so I don't know much about his high school. Coach is doing a great job again. He's got his team, and looks like they're in good form and ready for their tough Patriot district play. Join us late is Sherman Rivers from Patriot. I think he's been to three or four state tournaments in a row, and he played his ball at Potomac, where he went to at least two state tournaments as a player. Hey guys, did I get most of that right?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
okay. Yeah. Well, good to see you guys.
You as
Good
well.
to see you.
Yeah.
Nice to see everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, look, I thought I'd start. I just got this tweet. I know you saw it. You guys saw it as well. That
No, I didn't.
VCU next year, yeah, Mike didn't. VCU is going to pay all their players $380,000 a year to play at VCU last year. All the players. They just announced it today. Um, it's interesting because I think as coaches, parents are putting a lot of pressure on coaches at all levels. And it used to be because you wanted college paid for free. And if the kid was really good, maybe he played in the pros. But now there is really game changing money available at like VCU. VCU is a good program. But I mean, the money now in college is really getting out of control. What do you guys think about this? And do you think the pressure, this is going to trickle down and make your jobs change your jobs as well? I think this can change basketball and sports all around. What about you guys?
I mean, I don't have a ton of Division One basketball players anyway, so it does not going to matter to me. But as far I feel as though since that number is out there, that's I feel like that's for all 12 players, three hundred eighty four
That's the
thousand.
salary of the players on the team. Yeah.
Jeez, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
I think the trickle down is
more
inevitable.
more power to them.
Yeah.
I like it though.
Yeah. Coach Austin, do you want to
I
add?
was just saying, I think the trickle down is inevitable. Just like the transfer portal trickle down to us, was pretty inevitable that we didn't really see it coming the way it is. I mean, we're losing major coaches. I mean, Coach Larinaga's speech was, clear, last week, over this idea of this part being a part of basketball. And a lot of coaches got in it to coach basketball and to improve players. And and this is not at all a negative, not calling this, giving this money a negative, but this isn't anything to do with the basketball court. it's anything to do with a set play and minutes and all of that stuff. So I think the trickle down to us is to the AAU programs or the kids that's moving around, because there are NIL deals in high school and kids are able to get them. So yeah, it is what it is. Good for the VCU kids that are there right now, and it certainly is a game changer for recruiting. But I think it could negatively impact the lower levels of kids who are not at that high level caliber player that they should receive that, but their parents might believe they should receive something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a conversation now at the high school level. If you have a kid who's being looked at, it's a conversation. I know that no matter the level, actually, kids want money, and like Lo said, more power to them. Does it affect the period of the game? I don't know. Go back X amount of years when they made the rule changes about sitting out or not sitting out. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be something new, something that's going to advance the game, and change is hard. But I guarantee you that the NIL is real for high school kids during the recruiting process.
Yeah.
Also know, like I heard it's like some kids are asking for NIL deals to go to certain AAU programs as well. It's like it's part of their package. So yeah, it's here.
Yeah. Yeah. I really think it's going to really affect everything. I think it's going to put more pressure on everything. I think kids, Mike and I were talking about this today. I think kids who are in high school, it's more pressure to transfer and reclass because kids are going to want to get as old as possible so they can get an opportunity to play Division One. I think if this is true, and it was just a tweet from VCU, and it looked official to me, but it's coming. And I really do think it's going to, and not just basketball. This is going to affect every sport, and it's just so interesting because even AAUs are going to become a professional environment for these kids. So, Coach Craig, did you want to add something here?
Before, right? Because wasn't Pro Look giving out NIL deals, Tony?
Yeah, that's why we shut down. We ran out of money.
You ran out of money, huh, Coach?
Yeah, we done.
Yeah. Hey,
What's
Coach
up,
Sherman,
everybody?
I just wanted to let you know that we're talking about the new tweet I saw from VCU that the salary next year for players on their basketball team is going to be 300.
Oh, I already saw that nonsense. 384K
384K.
average.
And
for
we're
the
just
whole team.
discussing, how do you think it's going to change? How's that going to change your job? Is it going to trickle down and change what happens at the high school level?
I mean, eventually. I mean, it always does. It's unfortunate, and it's a positive at the same time. I've never seen something I think that you could literally argue for or against it just as easily, going both ways when it comes to this. You hear Dion talk about it. It started out as an NIL thing, and now it's turned into a collective, which is basically what they gave SMU the death penalty for in the 80s. So it's just crazy to think about that you have a group of boosters that get together and figure out how to collect the most money to divvy out. This is why you have Bill Belichick getting hired at college, because he knows how to work a salary cap and figure out who should get paid what based off of this and everything else like that. So I'm happy the kids are getting some money. I'm not happy that they didn't figure out how to do it the right way before it got out of hand, because it's hard to put the cat back in the bag.
Exactly. And, in the pro sports, they have rules in place. They have collective bargaining. They have a lottery. They have all these, they've had trial and error over, 60, 80 years or whatever, however old pro sports are. So there's rules, but in college
there's contracts. And
there's contracts.
So you can't just say, "Oh, I'm not going to play in this bowl game," or "I didn't get this today, so I'm just going to leave," or "I'm just going to hop in the portal in December." Like, okay. And everybody's like, well, the coaches can leave. There's a buyout. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like they're just going away scot-free, as much as that might be annoying. So they're not really learning how these things work. They're just, and the worst part about it is what everybody complained about, like with the NFL there for a little bit, then they started slotting guys, how much money these guys are getting before they've done anything.
Yeah.
It's like then like you're dealing with situations, and I know you guys are dealing with it too. The kids just don't have the same level of hunger to just be good. It's more of a transactional relationship than them thinking about what they can get as far as like what they want to go get. They want to know what you can give them.
Yeah.
And I think it's hurting the game more than it's helping the game.
Yeah. Coach Craig, want to get in here?
Well, I mean, it's not like this hasn't been going on for a long time
Very
with
true.
with money being paid to players at the AAU level, at the college level, at the private school, high school level. There's this financial stuff's been going on a long, long time. I apologize.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it is going to be interesting, and I agree, it's a good thing, but I don't think we've got the idea exactly where it's going to go. Well, let's move on to something else. At the end of football season down in Prince William County, where our buddy Sherman is, 5 coaches, varsity football coaches, stepped down, in all pretty good jobs. Well, 4 of them are really big schools, big student bodies. The schools are in areas with good demographics like Colgan and Gainesville. These are great jobs. Step down. Um, you know, that's we haven't had that much attrition in basketball. Um, are coaches getting what they need to be successful? Is it too much? And is this more of a football thing? Because football is a different animal than basketball. But did you guys, when you guys saw that news, if you did see it, did it raise your eyebrows?
I don't know necessarily raise my eyebrows. I mean, it happens in basketball too. I just think I don't think people just pay as much attention to it. And it was just so many in like one area that it kind of made people feel like, oh man, that's wild. I always get myself in trouble.
Yes.
I'll say this, okay? I don't know this person, but I know that I know the basketball coach at this school, and I know that at Forest Park, their AD doesn't make their job very easy. Let me just say that. I don't know the ins and outs to sit here and speak bad on somebody, but I know he doesn't make you really want to do the job. So that's what I'll say about that. So in regards to that guy, like you said, he's in a good situation. They finally get back to the situation where they can possibly make the playoffs. And then he's like, well, I'm good. And it's because if you're dealing with tough administration, and you guys know this, you're dealing with kids that kind of have a different viewpoint of how they view work in the game and entitlement. You have parents who are off the chain when it comes to that sort of stuff now. And then if you don't have the right type of support with your admin, it really makes the job just exhausting. And it's hard to just look at, well, I really like the players and just think of that when you have to deal with all those outside factors of what makes the job difficult in itself anyway. And then, like you said, you're trying to win games.
Yeah.
Everybody and their mother said everybody was going to win games because Daryl Overton went up north, and then everybody else saw how hard it was to still actually win actual games.
They couldn't blame him. They couldn't blame him anymore.
No,
Coach Bentley, I cracked on you for being around for a long time, but has the job changed a lot since you started? Is the job being a varsity basketball coach the same as it was 20 years ago?
I think every situation is different. I mean, I've been in Wakefield for a long time. We've had recently a turnover in administration and things like that. I mean, the job is the same. The kids are different. Parents are different. But that varies from year to year. I can say I've had a good group of kids, 2 years ago and a bad group of kids last year or whatever it may be. So that just varies. I think as coaches, man, we put our heads down and we coach. That's what we do. I mean, we try to block out all the outside noise and we just, we try to coach. And if it's not, good for your situation where you are, then I mean, we just like the kids get in the transfer portal. Well, so I mean, at the time right now, I'm happy at Wakefield, but who knows what happened next month? You know what I mean? So things just happen. You have to just deal with it. But I think we all been on this long. All of us have been at a place for a long amount of time. So something must be going right, or we're just the old guys and we figured it out and we don't worry about all the outside noise.
Yeah.
Hey, I went to go watch Bentley at his Christmas tournament. Hey, I thought that was Yorktown at first.
Yeah, and that's another thing.
Hey,
We things have
that
changed.
has changed. I've never seen that before.
Things have changed, and I won't say Carlos. We know what we talk about, but it has definitely changed from my very first year at Wakefield, and also
Oh
growing up in
man.
that neighborhood and seeing the dynamics of Wakefield High School.
Did they move Wakefield to North Arlington?
Pretty much.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
well, in my 9 years, mine did the opposite.
Right. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone want to jump in about the job, or is and maybe, as I think Coach Sherman and Coach Tony are just saying, this could be a luck of the draw, just kind of coincidence. It all happened at once. It may not point to anything in particular.
I
Well,
think
I know Coach Bentley got the job a couple years before I did, and then Coach Craig got the job right after a year after me. So we're 20-year guys on here. There's not that many of us, left even on the girls' side as well. And I know my first year we had a phone tree, like, everything is canceled for tomorrow. We would have done everything like that, and now we're group text. So we've been able to kind of grow through with how things are going. But I know looking at it, I can sometimes see ahead of time a young coach who doesn't realize what he's really getting into or she's really getting into, and I can see their end game coming pretty quick. And I don't think that they have the direction. I see a lot of coaches coming through, not just our school but other schools, that maybe they didn't have the old heads that was with them, that was explaining to them, here's how this works, here's how it is to be a coach and a family person, and let's say you don't work in the school system. So those people need to be like have an extra touch to them so that they understand what they're getting into. And we see that it's not always happening. And so even for those of us that do know what we're getting into and have done it a long time, it is a lot. I mean, it's a lot. All of us know we spend a lot of time. Like, there's no school tomorrow. We're going to be watching film. We're getting stuff together. Like, and then, we still have to do our regular lives. And so, and then try to win. And if any part of like the admin, as you guys are talking about, isn't on support of that and is giving you grief, and of course, inevitably, there's going to be a parent giving grief or a player that's, upset or something, it could offset the balance. And it's easy to see somebody step down and say, for the little bitty stipend that I'm getting, like I just found out, I think it was, God, who told me on here? Mike Desmond
Mike,
said,
yeah.
the I hate some fall coaches, fall sports that have just started for the first time are getting a bigger stipend than we are.
Mike Rob told
We've
me
been
that
here for
too.
20, we've been doing it for 20 years, and a fall coach who's never coached, this sport ever is getting a big. So we're clearly not doing it for the money. We're doing it because of the love of what we do for the kids and, the competition, et cetera. And if you're at a place that any of that's off, that's not ever a shocker to see 3 or 4 people leave, right away for any of those reasons. Either they weren't ready and they didn't get the support, or they were ready and they didn't get the support. So
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's heavy. I'm proud to be one of the 3 guys on here, out of all of us that have been, 2 decades in. The rest of you all, I could see that easily getting to you guys with, getting 20 years in, the way you guys are handling it. But I wish there was a better. I was talking to Coach Wickline earlier today, and we were talking about how there used to be the coaches region meeting, preseason meeting, where at least at one point of the year, all 30, whatever, something coaches are at the same place at the same time. You got the old heads there. I remember reaching out to Wendell Bird the first time I was at one of those meetings, and he was on his way out. I think it was maybe his last year, second to last year, and it was my first year. So I just was excited to get a chance to sit down and have a conversation with him, ask him a couple of questions. We don't have that anymore. That's not even a thing anymore. So I wish that could get back. I think it would keep some coaches around, but those are my thoughts. Talk long, those are my thoughts.
No, that's good. It's great.
I
I mean,
think
Sorry,
I think
Coach.
no, Mike, you can go. Go ahead.
No, you go. My bad.
I was going to say, I think we're also seeing a larger problem. I just think education in general is hard right now. Like, I think coaching's a part of it, but I think we're seeing in coaching what classroom teachers are seeing and what administrators are seeing. It's education is not very easy right now. And COVID, that system that we had there made it worse. I think exacerbated issues and problems. There's there's the parents and kids are very powerful now. They have a lot more influence now than they had when I started teaching and coaching 25 years ago. Um, it's just that's just the way it is. I think you either adapt to it and you realize, you have to change the way you are a little bit and kind of go with the flow, or it's easy to step aside. I think when people get into it for the first time, they see the wins and losses and they see, I'm gonna win championships and the celebrations, and they don't see all the other stuff that comes with it, the anonymous emails you get at the end of the season because you didn't play somebody enough, or the parent wants to talk to you after the game because they don't like the zone offense you ran that night or something like that. And I'm not saying that if the parents are wrong for doing that. They've been enabled all the way through the education system to have a lot of influence. I mean, we say that to kids in FCPS now. The kids and parents are stakeholders in this process, and we have to hear their voice on things. And I've run across very few parents and kids through the years that can see the bigger picture. And it's not for sake, I'm a parent of my own. Sometimes I have a hard time seeing it with my kids, but can understand that a coach has to make a decision based upon what's best for the entire group and not necessarily one person. And I think because we've allowed so much influence from stakeholders like parents and kids, um, maybe sometimes maybe the decision that's best for everyone is lost a bit, and the coach and administrators and teachers have to kind of constantly jump around and kind of plug 27 different holes in the dam with their finger, trying to put every problem out, because what's one person's individual situation is not necessarily another person's. And as coaches, we have to juggle the larger group dynamic, that sometimes the individuals don't see. There used to be a time when I think teachers and coaches were respected for having to make decisions like that. Now I think that's become more of an issue, when sometimes a teacher or coach will make a decision that maybe is best for a larger group, but not necessarily best for the individual. It's just the reality of the way it is now. I don't think, you can bury your head in the sand or you can get frustrated and walk away, but sometimes you just got to make the best of what's due. And I'm sure it's hard on first year or second year coaches. I think Coach Bentley said, he's been doing it so long, he kind of knows, you kind of know the yin and yang of things as a coach now, a long-term coach. But I can understand why, coaches that are 1, 2, 3 years in feel overwhelmed and give it up.
Yeah. And they don't
I
have the
mean, I'm
credibility of folks that have been in the building for a long time and have won some games. So it's everything they do is more under a microscope. Anyone else want to jump on this, or should we move on?
yeah, I'll be quick too.
Yeah, no,
And
take your time.
I'm gonna bite my tongue because Doug's talking about a thing that I could just go next level and start screaming and yelling and get in trouble for. But if I can rewind a little bit, I think it was 2 years ago. Tony talked about kind of the thing where, and thank you, Dave, you not knowing kind of led me in as an opening for this. How new coaches are getting the same thing as old coaches, and not having the association, not having the protection, and taking the two topics we started with and combining them a little bit. It'd be really cool. Trickle down would be some way, somehow an NIL thing would happen for the coaches. Like the guys I'm serious, like the guys who've been on here for 20 years should be getting something more than what guys who just started on. And I'm not even talking you into, oh, this coach won this, that coach won that. I don't really think that matters. That may be like a cute little one-time bag of bonus, but there could be some kind of trickle down because the kids are having NIL. Maybe the school could get coaches NIL. And if you want to talk about stipends for, and that wasn't my info, Mike Robinson was the first to kind of point me in that direction, and I made some calls to confirm it. Like, yeah, first program in history for this sport with not 3 levels, not as many kids, is getting more money in their stipend than we are. Yeah. So I don't know what the situation was with football, but with all those coaches leaving, I'm not going to say this coach's name out of respect, and it's his situation. I know and love a guy who was at a place for a long time, was very successful, and the administration didn't back him at the end, and the parents were too much to handle. And the guy's like, the fuck do I need to do this here? Like, I don't need to fight this here. I can go somewhere else and be appreciated somewhere else. And my man, up ship, and he's taken a program that no one heard of, and they've been really good his whole time he's been there. And I hope they win their region and make a run in their classification for state, but it's a dude who's a cornerstone in Northern Virginia, as far as I'm concerned, and he didn't want to deal with the extra BS parents came up with, which was all lies, and his administration didn't back him. So he said, "You know what? I'm out."
So look, I think like something in the fact of this, you take a Brian Metris who is been around for a long time, and you talking about he's been there forever, then all of a sudden a new coach gets the same as a Brian Metris, as the same as a Bobby Dobson. I think it's ridiculous. I think it should be some tier level. If you coach 5 years, then you're eligible for $100 more. Who knows? If you coach 10 years, $200 more. But it should be some sort of tier where you're saying, I've been coaching 30 years. So here is, I'm making this extra just because of the years, the longevity, not necessarily championships or anything like that. And not necessarily schools, because you may take a Westfield or a Chantilly or a Hayfield who may have a stronger backing, that if you say, okay, we can put this money together for NIL deal for the coaches, and we're going to give, well, Justice may not have a backing as a Hayfield, so you're not going to get that amount of money. But I think it should be some sort of tier level of pay for coaches. And just think about what we do. Carlos, Mike, you guys have played 30 games the last 2-3 years. Football played 10 games every year. And them football coaches making way more money than y'all.
Yeah, they do.
So, I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
we're 3 nights a week, sometimes 6 days a week coaching and practicing. Our football team goes 4 or 5 days, right? I don't know if they ever come in on a Saturday except maybe to watch film, and I'm not talking bad about
And we go through all the breaks too.
everything. And they're getting $2,000 to $3,000 more than what we do with a longer season. So, I mean, that's another show. But I just think it should be some.
The bad part about what you're saying, Tony, is that I don't know about up in Fairfax, but I know in Prince William, there's a bonus at 5, at 10, at 15, at 20. Like they give you, and listen, it's not like it's something great. Like it's just like you wouldn't notice it, but it's something. So it's like we say, hey, listen, you were putting longevity into this one place. Let me give you something to recognize that. But like you said, it's outside of the winning and losing, because we can, like you said, we can go on and on about that. The fact that somebody, like you said, can start coaching tomorrow and get paid the same as you all that have been coaching for 20 plus years is insane. Like that is insane to me. And I don't get it.
And I also think it should count towards your retirement compensation, your time coaching, because I really believe the coaches affect the students more than anybody, because you spend more time with your coaches than you do with a particular teacher, even though teaching is very important as well. So I do wish they'd find a way, and I didn't realize that was the case. It was Mark Cox, the legendary quarterback at Annandale, coached football at Woodson, and now he's out at he's a Battlefield assistant coach. He's the one who told me that. I had no idea that coaching didn't go towards your retirement. It's kind of unbelievable to me. Yeah. So, well, anyway, I think we all agree on that. We're not going to get any arguments on that one, are we? So let's get to the basketball. I've been burdening you guys with all this stuff about our job. Let's get to the fun stuff. Now, I think it's easy to say that the region is down this year, and I know the area is down. That's one thing that I thought right away when I went to see teams play. The area is down, but when you look at, you guys have traveled and played teams out of town. I know, like Kevin Harris went down, played a tough game against Lake Taylor last night. I know Carlos played a tough game against a strong Verina team. Doug has won out of town. Desmond has played some tough games. I mean, you guys, we're doing well on the road. So when you say that we're down, I think it's one of those, it's almost like a fallacy. I think we always feel that way because we see players graduate and we remember the teams with the players that graduated. So what do you guys think? Do you think the area is down this year, or like any area, any years, players emerge, and by the end of the year, it's a very different region than it was in December?
I think the difference then this year compared to the last maybe 2 or 3 years is just not super top heavy. This year, you got to look at it, and it's really it'd just be like who gets hot at that time, be honest with you.
Mm.
I know that we've been one of them, but the last couple of years, you'd be like, all right, we know that Hayfield was going to get there, or we knew South Lakes was going to get there, or people they expected us to get there. You can't look at the state and look out at anybody right now and say, well, they're going to be in the last game of the season. And yeah, it's down as far as like it like being like top level, like top heavy talent, but I think the parity is going to make it a lot more enjoyable for the casual fan.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I think this year anyone can beat anyone. I
Correct.
think all three regions up here, and I don't know enough about down south because as y'all know, I don't care until if I have to maybe look at them for something, right? I could give two shits. But like all three regions up here, I think are down. And maybe it's like Sherm said, like it's just not so many like the last 4 or 5 years. I think you could say those two teams out of that region, they got a date for the regional finals. I just don't think there's those teams that you can just pencil in any of the three regions up here and say, all right, I know for a fact that this team can, do X, Y, or Z. And I think, like Sherman said, anyone can beat anyone. And it's going to be who's hot. And, that is going to be fun for the casual fan. And unfortunately, that also fuels the peanut gallery at all of our jams. When we lose a game or don't play great, that their opinion now seems powerful. But just there's no teams that, and I'm not knocking it. Like, I mean, Los beat our ass, right? So I'm not saying anything. We've won games we could have lost, but like I don't feel the Hayfield 2022. They're gonna win it all. Let's not worry about that. And I'm not knocking you, Sherman, either. And with your teams you had, I just like you said, there's not those teams at the very top that aren't so flawed that a team from the middle pack couldn't knock them off in that win or go home game in February.
I agree. I agree with everything Des just said. Just looking at it, like you look at, I mean, like how Des said about the South, that's one thing. I still feel like over there is still Oscar Smith and Lansdowne. Like that's always going to be for 6A. It's always going to be them. But over here, I feel like it could be any team. I mean, I've seen some teams like Yorktown. I said something about Yorktown. I feel like Yorktown is a very solid basketball team that on any given night they can beat any one of us. So yeah. And nobody really talked about Yorktown. So, going into the season, especially with them losing the one kid, Maria kid,
Yeah.
I feel like that's a team that can get super hot and knock off some teams come playoff time.
Yeah, for sure.
Shit, I didn't see the game, but I saw the game with Houston and Mike Robb. How that game went. It was what 79-76, I think I saw the score.
It's an overtime game, right, Coach?
And hey, real quick, because it's going to go into Dave, I think Yorktown reminds me of some of Dave's Westpo teams, where come playoff time with all that size and physicality and good coaching, and with guys who can make plays, like I think Yorktown's really good, and I think they're going to be a tough task for anyone that plays them. But in the playoffs, you can put them outside of our region, and they're just built kind of that we got a bunch of shooters, but we're also not any 7-footers, but we got like 5 kids or 6'5". We're just going to rebound everything. We're physical. We're experienced. I mean, they remind me of some of Dave's Westpo teams that come playoff time, they start knocking people out.
Yeah. Dave Houston, they're calling you out.
I appreciate that, I guess. Well, we came from Charlottesville over the break, and I mean, Fleming was from Roanoke, and we saw Albemarle and Western, and Western Branch was down there from 757, and a couple Stafford teams. I think individual talent maybe up here maybe is down in the sense of there's tons, maybe individual talent, but I think it's forced a lot of us to have to get into our team stuff and to really win a game as a group. And so I think that we could compete with at least the teams that I saw down there. Our area could compete with, everybody. I mean, there's still good players and good teams there. But I've watched some games, over since the start of the year, and a lot of teams are getting the most out of their team as opposed to just going to one guy and kind of clearing the side out and getting it done. So I think our coaching always, I believe, puts us top notch to with the guys that we have. And so I don't really ever really feel like it's down, because just because somebody's down, they're not going to just let you go in there and beat them. They're going to figure something out, some strategy out, some offense or defense is gonna make it hard. But yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of 80 to 80 games throughout the year. Seems like a lot more defensive struggles this year.
Yeah. Well, guys, let's talk about your individual teams. Why don't we? And we'll start with Houston, since you were just talking. Where are you as compared to where you thought you'd be at this time of year? So when you think about the beginning of the season, starting out, and where you are now, how would you compare? How would you compare the two?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we are, I felt like we'd probably be around 500-ish right around now, because we got a lot of young guys that's trying to figure it out. So we're just a little bit below there. We've been in 5 one-possession games. And when you got a bunch of young kids that are figuring it out for the first time, varsity level, speed, experience, refereeing, we've been in 2 overtime games. Like we just did an overtime game yesterday afternoon. Those we're doing exactly what you need to do to lose that game at that time. We're good at that right now. Like right now, that's our defense is good, and then that. So that's going to allow us, to be we're in the one possession games as a young team playing most of the teams we're playing have, a lot of experienced seniors on them. So I feel really good, confident about my guys. When we battled yesterday, I thought we had a chance to win that game. Against a strong, athletic, physical team. And, I thought that we were right there. Down in Charlottesville, we did the same thing. We battled all of our games down there. So, I feel like we're 2 games in the conference play. I think where we will be in about 3 or 4 weeks from now, really 2 to 3 weeks from now, will not be anywhere we are right now. The kids' buy-in is great. We're a physical group. We get after it. So, we shot, terribly from the free throw line, and then the last couple of games, and those are the type of things you can't do, late in overtime and all that stuff. So I like where we are. I didn't expect us to be 10-0 or 9-0 right now. I expected my kids to figure it out and get through the experience that they needed, and we're right there.
Yeah. Well, let's for a moment stay in the Patriot and go to Coach Craig. Coach, I mean, you were definitely picked as one of the teams to beat going in. And you guys, definitely had your high moments so far this year. Where are you now as compared to where you thought you'd be?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think teams change and evolve throughout the course of the year. I didn't think played very well to start the season. We seem like we're starting to gel and get better. I think offensively, particularly, I think we've started to figure some things out, some things that work well for us, some things that don't. I think defensively, we've been a pretty solid defensive team, really, other than one night, um, all year. I don't know what people on the outside think. I read a lot of stuff online. People don't seem to think a lot of us, so we just kind of plugging along, trying to win games and figure out ways to do stuff. And yeah, we got a lot of talent. The kids, they like each other. I think that's always good. I think we had some chemistry stuff early in the year on the floor. I don't think it like bled to off the floor stuff. So I didn't think there was anything we couldn't figure out with a little bit of time. We've been a little bit by the injury bug. We've had some guys in and out of the lineup. Some important guys who've missed some time, and luckily we've been able to win some games even with guys out. So I feel like we're coming together. I mean, the Patriot District, it'll be tough. I'm not shocked to hear Coach Hasten's teams are playing hard and playing physical and are aggressive and are tough. I mean, that's like his calling card down there. And I think we have them this week on Wednesday night. Well, we'll see about Wednesday night with the snow, but I expect tough games in our league. He has a lot of good coaches, a lot of good programs. And I think, sometimes teams where they start in November aren't necessarily where they are in February. I didn't get in on the discussion about the area.
Yeah.
I don't know if I see it the same way. I don't watch enough to know, but I kind of feel like the top 7, 8 teams are pretty good. I don't see all that much of a drop off. I mean, everybody talks about, Hayfield in what was it, 22, Carlos, when you went undefeated? I mean, like, but also nobody else has done that in the last 40 years either, is going undefeated. So let's put that one as a bit of an outlier because I don't think that's indicative of what we see. But most of the time, the regional champs out of this area lose 4 or 5 games throughout the year. It's not uncommon. Um, I see 7 or 8 teams that I think are pretty good. I think what's maybe down a little bit is I think the second level teams that sometimes were just a notch below those teams that would push those teams. I think there's a bigger gap this year than there's been. I think the talent may be a little bit more concentrated. And then I think you have some teams that maybe can move up into that second tier that are younger teams trying to figure it out. But I see like a bit of a gap this year that I haven't seen in years past. I think even maybe I'm just looking at, because I watch a lot of Patriot district teams. I kind of feel like our district usually is like 1 through 8 is kind of like there's not a huge difference. This year, I feel like maybe there's a bit of a gap, but that doesn't mean it won't be closed because, some teams get better throughout the year. Some teams improve more, especially teams with a lot of younger guys, first year varsity players, trying to figure stuff out, trying to learn on the fly. And I think it'll end up leveling out. But I mean, we played down in the 757 against one of their top teams this year. It was a good game. I didn't feel like we were overwhelmed with their talent or anything. I just feel like, and I felt like Hayfield, when we played them, it's a great team. They can go down and play other places and win games. South Lakes can go down other places and win games. I haven't seen Wakefield play yet this year on film. We just don't have a lot of crossover. I feel like Coach Bentley, now that he's in the other region, they're like on the moon compared to us. Like we don't hardly ever see him anymore or watch. It's just not a lot of crossover.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, thanks, Coach. Coach Carlos. Now, you guys last year were probably a bit of underdogs last year after graduating so many players. But this year, and you had a great season. This year, you've been picked near or at the top all year, and you guys have had some nice wins. My guess is you're probably pretty satisfied with how your season has begun.
Hell nah.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that. I mean, this is what I say. I feel like our team is solid. We play the brand of basketball that we play. I feel like it gives us chances to win basketball games. The problem is outside of our area. I told my kids this, so I'm not saying anything. Like, we're suburban tough, but we're not hood tough. So whenever we go play someone that got some dudes, it's an issue. Like, we're not that type of tough. That's why, and like even last year, like that's why Westfield beat us. Cause like we wasn't tough. Like when teams out tough us, we're gonna lose those battles. When we give up 18, 20 offensive rebounds, you're gonna lose those games 9 times out of 10. And in the 3 games that we've lost, that's been the case. The 4 games that we won, we've done a good job. But we gotta find a way to win the games that we're not supposed to. So like that's why I'm not satisfied with our team yet. And it's building blocks. But I'm loving the progress for the most part. As soon as we can get back to like actually practicing again, man, we've been through, yeah, y'all don't even know half of what's been going on over here. But haven't been able to practice in our gym all over Christmas break has been a struggle. We've had one practice where we had to use a full court, and that was the day before we played the game yesterday. So it's we just take it as how it goes, and then keep moving forward. But I feel like that we're gonna have a chance when it's all said and done. We just gotta fix some things. But I like my team. I like the way that the guys are playing. They're competing. They're sharing the basketball, and that's all I can ask for at this time. I just need them to be tougher.
Yeah, since the gym wasn't available, it's too bad you didn't do a Christmas tournament. That way you would have gotten some run in. But well, sorry to hear that.
We couldn't even host it. They shut
Yeah,
the gym down.
yeah. So well, anyway, we plenty of basketball left. Coach Daz, I saw you guys last night. We talked about. I thought it was a very nice win. We were texting after the game. You weren't as in love with the game, in love with the game as I was. But you have definitely a blue chip player coming back this year. Merritt is developing into a star in my eyes. I thought your little point guard is coming around. But what about you? Are you where you thought you'd be at the beginning of the season?
No, because I thought we were gonna suck. I thought we'd be 3 and something right now. I would say the sum is greater than the parts. And, yes, we have Jordan, and yes, Merrick can do some nice things, and then he does many things that I want to ship him back to New Zealand for. You take Jordan, just put him over there. No one else in the normal starting group. And yesterday we didn't have our normal starting point guard, Alex Saunders. He was in a little car accident.
Sorry to hear that.
Like Merrick played like maybe 10 minutes a game last year. Toshi played like 12 minutes a game last year, and that didn't come till late in the year. Saunders never played. CJ Kimmer was the 15th man on a 15-man team. I really thought in December we would just go ahead and walk around and get our brains kicked in and hope come February we could be that dangerous middle of the road team. So I'm very surprised and shocked. And at the same time, I don't think we're good. I thought we held on yesterday, and like what I didn't know during the game was, we have a good lead at halftime, and we were coming up the stairs, and Buck ran down and he was dapping up my players, and it made them suck. Like they started turning it over.
Tony's been dealing with that for years.
I know, right? Like they started turning it over. They started playing like Buck, dribbling off the foot, being selfish. We stopped defending. So I think if that's a 5-quarter game, we lose. Joe's kids came out in the second half with the right attitude. But we've probably beat some teams we shouldn't have beat. And we lost, to Los, and Los's team, like he was saying, they just out-toughed us. He had the physicality. He had kids that are familiar with Jordan because they played with him in the AAU season. So they weren't like, oh shit, Jordan Scott. And then he made all the other guys, I think that was our like third or fourth game. They weren't varsity ready. And I don't know if they're varsity ready now. I wish guys coming off the bench would just do their job and not listen to their moms and dads and trainers. I wish they would just be stars at their role and let that be enough. But to be where we're at record-wise, it blows my mind. This is the best record we've had since I took over at the break, with the least amount of talent and depth we've had.
Kemmerer and his dad played at South Lakes, and I believe he's good baseball.
Hold
player
on a
too.
second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. With the least amount of talent,
Desmond can sandbag them.
I'm hold on a second. Come on, Mike.
Hey, not with a 4-star.
You got a 6, 7, 5-star.
Collectively, I like to say, take him over here and look what's left.
All right. Okay. I'll let you back at it, but I just needed to make sure I
don't know why y'all
I
keep
thought I heard
entertaining
what I
him
heard.
when he says
He's
this.
not over
All right.
there when you guys
Right,
play. He's
exactly.
right there in the middle of the floor with the ball in his hands.
Exactly.
It is the worst team I've ever seen with 2 Division I players on it.
Yeah, my bad.
Right.
Okay.
So, but Coach Desmond Kemmerer, his dad has played there
Yes.
and coached well. Did a great job yesterday. He reminded me of the kid you had last year, the little tough, scrappy white kid you had last year.
He's a poor man's version of Tyler Andre because he doesn't shoot it as well.
Yeah, but he's playing well. Some really
Very.
nice plays. And Merritt, I haven't seen a kid 2 vertical dunks in one game in traffic. I just haven't seen the kids do that very often. And I've been following Northern Virginia ball a long time. So I think
That's what you saw. I saw the 5 turnovers dribbling into 3 people in the second half.
So okay, yeah, I would Coach Johnson. Let's go to Coach Bentley. Let's go to Wakefield. I saw you guys play against a very seasoned and sharp Oscar Smith team, right on the midst of a football championship. But Tony, you got some good pieces. You got some size. You got some shooters. Tell us about where you are now compared to where you thought you'd be at the beginning of the season.
Well, I'm very surprised that we have 5 victories. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I've one returning guy with varsity experience. The rest of the guys were 5-minute guys, 2-minute guys. And then right before the start of the season, we had a guy that we thought was gonna be really good for us transfer. So you deal with all of that type of stuff, and to see that we're 5-4, I'm very surprised because we have a lot of internal things that are going on that as a staff we need to fix. And we'll fix them. They're either going to buy in or it is what it is. Like I tell the kids, I'm going to be here next year. And Buck did a great job at practice yesterday, separating the seniors and then the underclassmen and letting them know that, like, this is it. You got, 2 months left, 8 weeks left, it's on you guys to try to figure this out. But when you guys talk about toughness, so we played Oscar Smith, and so I've been running my tournament for like 23 years. So no one can ever say that I try to stack the tournament so I can win because I put us in the same side with Oscar Smith. So I want my kids to be able to see that you ain't that good. And after the game, I talked to the coach who's now we've become really good friends, and we're just talking about you guys talking about toughness. Like Carlos or one of y'all just said something about what do you say, hood tough? What Coach Griffith told me was they are hood project tough.
Yeah.
That adds another layer. So when you start talking about, especially the guys up here in where I grew up, Green Valley used to be tough. Green Valley ain't tough anymore. And so these kids think they live in a valley that it has no ring to it anymore.
Yeah.
It's nothing tough about South Arlington at all. And these kids still think that they're tough. And so when you talk about toughness, when you take a Potomac, and Anthony Mills is my guy, and they're good. I mean, they got a running clock on them against Oscar Smith. So did we, but I mean, I did not expect that. That level of toughness is different. But I understand it because I have an 8-year-old grandson who lives down there, and I've been to his little league basketball games. And the way you see that they get coached at 6 and 7 and 8 years old, by the time they hit high school, do you think they're worried about a coach fussing at them? They've been getting fussed at their whole life. That's where the toughness comes from. But up here, when you fuss at a kid, now you got to deal with the principal, you got to deal with the AD, you got to deal with the mom and dad. It's almost not fun, but I'm not going to let that steal my joy. I'm going to continue coaching, but there's no toughness. You may have one or two kids in the area that are tough and coach, like y'all talking about Dave makes his team tough. And Dave, I definitely need to say this because I was at your game yesterday. Me and Buck took a little tour yesterday. We went to South Lakes, watched a great game. And I don't know names, but Mike, I told you, number 5, Buck said number 5 might be one of the best players in the region after what we saw him do yesterday. We all know about Jordan. Jordan had 2 points, I think, at halftime. And
the New Zealand kid, right?
listen, and we don't know kids
It's
like
it's the same against us.
Yo, the kid can play, so y'all can let Mike sandbag y'all want.
That's why I said stop listening to him.
That kid is really, really good, and they make everything better. But to Dave's game, South County is really good as well too, with talent, experience, athleticism, the whole nine. And I'm at the game, and like kid hits a shot to go in overtime, and it's like going back and forth. And like you looking at Dave, I looked at Buck and said, Buck, it must be Christmas break or something. Dave must got kids out. I think Dave must have like 8 players. And they was like, nah, that's his team. Like, shit. Like, they battled the entire game, and you couldn't tell, except for me and Dave talked about the free throws that they didn't capitalize on that they possibly could have won the game. But you couldn't tell that those kids were inexperienced varsity players. And for what Dave went through, getting his kids snatched away from him at the last moment or whatever, he's just coaching. And those kids are buying in, and they're going to figure it out. So the Patriot District, don't feel sorry for West Potomac. I'm telling y'all right now, because Dave is coming after y'all, man, with what he has. So I just want to say that because I saw 2 good games. Yorktown is really, really, really good. And Mike was right. They held on. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Mike and them beat them or anything like that, but they held on to win. That's experience. And then watching South County versus West Potomac yesterday was really good. And I say all that to deflect away from anything I need to say about Wakefield. So good job.
Well, Coach Billy, I do want to
Appreciate you, Coach.
I do want to give one of your players a shout out because the Oscar Smith players were definitely trying to intimidate your players in a North Arlington type of way. And one of the Oscar Smith players, I believe it was Travis Johnson, got in the face of your redhead kid. Your redhead kid looked him right in the eye, didn't back down an inch. Yeah. And after that moment, they left him alone. I was impressed with that kid, how he stood up.
No, that's my guy Shane Morrison, tough nosed kid. He's a lacrosse player, and like I said, 20 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to say a Wakefield basketball player and a lacrosse player. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm at.
But he wasn't going anywhere.
Welcome to my world, Coach Bentley. Welcome to my world.
Right. Yeah. No, he's tough, but I mean, again, that's what Oscar Smith and I appreciate it because it wasn't anything bad. It was within the game.
Yeah.
Right.
It's it's gamesmanship. It's gamesmanship.
And if you back down to it, they're gonna really smell it and really take after you. So my kids don't. We're not gonna back down. We just don't have experience. Our guys are gonna be in the right spot. We're gonna play hard. All of that good stuff. We just don't have the talent that we've had in the past years, and so we just got to continue working at it. And you look at my group and you say, well, you got seniors, but yeah, well, these seniors haven't played. I got a junior who has been in the mix and he's pretty much the only one. The rest of these guys are trying to get it on the job training right now. But here we are in the January. We're gonna have to figure out because now we're about to hit the Liberty District, which I say some of the best coaches in Northern Virginia are in the Liberty District. And no, I love everybody on the show, and I'm not giving a shout out to my district, but we have some really good coaches in the Liberty District. You got to come to coach every single night in the Liberty District. So we got to get ourselves ready for district play. We start off with a tough Marshall team on Wednesday, like you said, if we get to that game on Wednesday. But it's starting now, so we'll figure it out.
There's never any nights off in the Liberty. It's always they're tough gyms. The gyms usually decent crowds for conference games. It's always going to be tough in that district. Even if the talent level isn't always the highest, those games are going to be really tough. Let's go to Prince William. Now, Sherman, I've caught at least 3 or 4 of your games this year online, and you guys have played amazing some games. Some games you played like a younger team that's rebuilding from all those great players that you had graduate. But it looks like you guys are definitely on the right track. How do you feel about where you are right now?
Well, just kind of, piggybacking off you guys talking about Oscar Smith and the guys we used to have. I know I talk about my guys and the things that they do and the exploits they had, but beating that team 2 years in a row, and it wasn't like both games were like super close the whole time. So, talking about some kids that were from Nokesville, Virginia that actually made everybody think they was hood tough for 2 years in a row against, a team that's got some tough kids, some athletic kids. I just want to give them that. Now, talking about our guys now, we look like a young basketball team. I said it before, and, and we kind of talked about guys when they're coaching and how they struggle with stuff. And, if you have a plan, some of the stress goes away. Now, you're still going to have your moments, and it's going to be upsetting, and you're going to wish that they got things a little bit quicker. But if you have a plan of what you're going to do, you're more understanding of the ups and downs in those moments. And anytime you see a Patriot basketball team in the offseason, you wouldn't believe that we're going to be very good because there's just certain things that we just don't do until the season comes. And so I think that offensively we have grown a lot during the season compared to what we look like in the offseason. We've had some very good moments. I've challenged this team just like I've challenged every other team as far as the schedule goes. We've played 3 games in South Carolina, 2 of those teams being from Georgia. We played Verina. We played up in D.C. against Landon. So these guys have had tough stretches. We played 12 games in the first 20 days of the regular season. So it's why we didn't go to a Christmas tournament because 1, I'm exhausted. 2, you got everything that you want to fix with a young team. You got 2.5 weeks to work on stuff and tweak stuff to get yourself ready for district play. So like I said, even in our losses, the final score doesn't really tell the story of what the game was. It was just a bad 5 to 6 minute stretch. Or Jordan Scott remembered that he was the best player on the floor. Or the kid from Verina decided that he wasn't going to miss a shot the entire second half. So it just random stuff like that. And I can't be upset at that because when I look at these guys play against like Los, that kid goes for like 24 and like 10. I'm watching Jordan. He scores 35 against us. Well, he gets 35 literally 2 days after that. So it wasn't a thing that was just our guys. It was that we're playing as really good players, and these guys are young trying to figure out what it means to win. And they watch guys win a lot of games, and in their mind they thought it was a lot easier than what it was. And so they're starting to learn the type of intensity that you have to play with, how you have to get after it. And, now the schedule has being as hard as it was, I like our chances against the rest of our schedule as we saw when we played the purple team, we pretty much, put them away early, and that was it. And I'm always happy when they lose. We played Woodgrove the couple nights later, or the next night, which is a very well coached team, have a very good kid inside. We played very well in that game and scored in the 80s again. If you told me we were going to score 80 3 times a season, I would have told you you're lying too, based off our preseason. But when we play fast, we play aggressive, and we get after it. We got a really good point guard in Elijah Gaskins. We got some guys that can make some shots. Ethan Kaku, big guy in size, been playing better for us as of late. We got a lot of guys that can do some different things, and some guys that are learning some stuff. So I'm happy with the group. I'm happy with the direction we're heading. I like our chances in our region. And then if you can get into the state tournament, like you said, it's anybody's ball game at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely wide open this year. Well, thanks, Coach. Well, let's go and let's get an update on the districts, the players and teams that may have emerged. I think we've
Yes, Carlos. Yes.
Yeah, and we've touched on some of this.
We don't know nobody in that joint.
Well, let's stay with Sherman and stay in Prince William County. What's going on in Prince William? Sherman, I think Forest Park seems like they've had some good moments. Obviously, you guys have had some good moments, but generally, what are you seeing in Prince William County?
It's kind of playing out how we kind of talked about before the season. Like I said, the purple ones we just saw struggle against us, but they had a really close game with the other school down the street from us with Gainesville. That was a buzzer beater sort of game. Forest Park has been tough in some of their games and played, and they're kind of up and down. Same thing with Potomac. They'll have, a really good game, and they'll struggle maybe a couple games. So I think you're just seeing, teams trying to find their way. At the end of the day, I think it's the same teams that you're going to be talking about. Woodbridge is, I think, a team that you have to look out for. Aaron is doing a good job with them, and they play really hard. But and I know that, Jason's son over at Garfield is a really good player. I just don't know what they have all the way through the roster because I haven't seen them play. But you have to think it's going to be some of the same sort of names that you've heard in the past, looking at how things are shaking out right now.
I like the point guard of Potomac. I think Amonte is his name.
Yeah, came from O'Connell. He's at O'Connell last year. He's a sophomore. He's a very, very, very good player.
Yeah, I like him. I think Forest Park has two little guards that both do a good job. I think one transferred in from Oklahoma. I saw them over here against Riverside. Anyone else have any comments on Prince William teams that you guys may have come across or seen this year?
Sherman, didn't you tell me you got some 6'8" transfer that like over the break maybe from
it's funny. I talk to Mike all the time because we got certain coaches around here in this area that just because they can't win think you're cheating. I was going to put a picture out of Isaiah in our gym with a practice jersey and say we got a 6'8" transfer just to watch this dude go into a panic, but I decided to against it before I didn't feel like dealing with that headache.
You might have the Fairfax County Times calling you for an interview if you do that.
Nah, it would have been Inside Nova because I know who made the call.
Hey, I saw that was one of the craziest game winners I saw was the Battlefield game winner.
Hey, listen,
did everybody see that?
For the life of me, I've never seen, like, Tony, I want you to think about this. Have you ever seen somebody airball a shot to the point where someone can run and tip it in like it was a dunk contest?
Wow. That was a heads-up play. That was a hustle heads-up play.
Hey, I've never seen nothing like that.
The kid from the purple guys shot the ball in the corner. The air ball was so bad that it hits the ground and bounces up by the rim. The guard for them sprints to the rim and taps it in.
Wow.
That's how they won the game.
It was a bad shot.
Listen, it was. It like the shot, like he didn't have to shoot it. I don't know why he shot it. But, and the funny thing is the next night, Gainesville turned around and won a game at the buzzer against Forest Park. It wasn't as crazy, but it still was like, I can't believe that happened.
Yeah. I thought it was a great pass, not a bad shot.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's what we want to call it. But it was a heads-up play by that kid for sure.
Yeah. Well, anyone else want to make any comments about Prince William, or should we move on?
Yeah, I haven't seen enough of them so far.
All right. Let's go to the
We played
Concord.
Forest. We played Forest Park, and yeah.
What'd you think about Forest Park, Coach?
I mean, the guard that was hurt last year is he's certainly helpful for them now. I mean, we played them so early. Maybe it was our second game of the season, so like I don't even know if all my players knew each other's names at that time. But you know, we were getting it together. But they're big boys. He's tough. There's no
I like
question.
him.
I mean, you can tell. I mean, I remember I coached against him. I think his freshman year. So you know, he's clearly a 4-year starter. He does certain things that, you know, our 4-year varsity players do. You know,
Brandon Adozi, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
having the point guard back because he was out last year with a knee injury makes that big kid that much better.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of drive, and if you know, he's getting 2 feet in the paint as a guard, he's downhill, and if you put, you know, you step over, he's throwing it right to his boy, and he's got great positions, and you know, if he's got that good position, he's gonna score. I mean, we've played some big kids this year. Even Langley's big man that's a big kid. We played some big guys, and he's definitely the biggest guy that we've played, and you know, when he's hard to move him off that block. I could see down the stretch. You know, he shoots free throws okay. You know, I could see that being a tough team late in the year for Prince William.
We scrimmaged Forest Park, and I asked Mac. I said, Mac, can you take him out the game, man, just so I can get something done? Like, we couldn't do anything. He's a load, man.
I like that. I like that kid. I like the way he plays. He's
Right,
taking
great
it
kid.
himself.
Great
Plays the
kid.
game.
Great kid.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the Concord district. Yeah, we've heaped a lot of pressure on Coach Desmond so far, but this is a district where there's really no weak teams. I mean, Centerville beat Potomac. Chantilly's had their moments. Oakton's had their moments. Madison, of course, is always going to be tough with Kevin Roller. But what do you guys think about the Concord district?
I think, you know, you said it right. Like Centerville, you know, Gordon takes his crew down to Potomac, and Jackson Davis does Jackson Davis things. You know, when you have a dynamite kid like that, you know, they can be a problem for anyone. You know, Dave at Oakton, they've won, I don't know, a handful of maybe 4 or 5 games at the buzzer, by 1, by 2, and overtime. So they're winning close games, and that bodes well for you when conference play starts. Yeah, Rodney's group at Chantilly, they've had ups, they've had downs. I know he likes them, and they're fair. I think they're mostly juniors. I do. I think he's got a pretty young group.
I think it's true.
And I just wish Roller would suck one year, man.
Madison's going to be right there at the end, right near there at the end.
He's once again maxing out what he has.
Yeah.
So, you know, they have some wins. They beat some teams that maybe the eye test you wouldn't think they were going to be. But again, I just wish he would suck one year. Then Kevin's not on here, so I'm going to put all the pressure on him. And I don't care what the record is. I think individually, they are the most talented group in our region, top to bottom, with all their individual players. And well, maybe they've looked disinterested against teams at times. I know when we play them, we're going to see the best version of them. You know, yeah. I joke with someone, and I told Kevin, I think they're the Avengers. Like, he assembled this group to avenge losses to us in the past, and I think they're super talented. I think they have 5 guys that can explode at any moment.
And they're still young. They're still young, right, Coach?
They'll all be back next year.
They're young by grade. I said it.
Yo.
I still think they're the regional favorite, and that's not me sandbagging. I just think they're that individually talented, and when we play them, they're going to play their best basketball.
Yeah. So,
look, y'all know once a podcast, I'm going to say something.
Yeah. Well,
hey, listen, Mike, I appreciate you because it's usually always me.
Yeah, Sherman, you're not the problem child today. It's all Desmond. It's all Desmond today. Anyone else want to talk about Concord teams or players?
I mean, we played Westfield. I said it at the start that, like Mike said, individually, man, them dudes are loaded. And when you talk about avenging, like, we beat them twice last year. So this year, with the team I have, they made sure they let us know that we shouldn't even be on the court with them. So they have a lot of talent. I don't know names, but the big light-skinned kid, his game has evolved a lot. Like,
I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's taking it to the hole, shooting efficient shots. Being 6'7", 6'8" is what he is, and so I like him a lot. You know, Kevin's got those guys playing, and like you said, if they come around near the end, they like Mike said, they should be, you know, one of the favorites in our region for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else want to jump in on the Concord? All right. Well, so should we go to the Liberty? And the Liberty is probably is not as talented as last year, but just as competitive. Just every team is going to be tough. I think Yorktown may be the early favorites. And Coach Desmond and I were talking about this today, but I guarantee they're going to have challenges in most of their games because that's the way the Liberty District is. So what are you guys saying? Tony, you want to start since you're a
Yeah,
member?
we knew this coming into, you know, this season that Yorktown was going to be the favorite, and this was, you know, when they had Maria, and then he decides to leave or whatever. But they still had enough to be as talented as they are now. So we knew that. But then you talk about our Liberty District, they go and play against Marshall, which, you know, Marshall lost a lot of good players, and it's a 2-point game.
Yeah.
So when you get into your conference play and you know everybody's move, it's going to be tough. So then, you know, you get outside of it. When Yorktown gets outside of it, look at what they did to Westfield. They beat Westfield. They beat I don't want to sound like I've been following Yorktown the whole season, but I know they
Yes, you
beat
have.
really good teams this year, and they played a great game against South Lakes yesterday. So they're definitely hands down the favorite, but you can't not look past Marshall, and they've been running their system for years, and those kids are programmed to know the system from their freshman year all the way to their senior year. You know, I haven't seen McLean yet. I haven't seen Herndon. I've seen WNL, which, you know, can go hot and cold. He's got an inexperienced young group, and they're not there just yet. But, you know, Bobby's gonna have those guys playing tough. And then I don't who else? We've played Langley. I think Langley's had some good wins, and then, you know, they're up and down. And I mean, you take a group like us, we're inexperienced, you know, up and down, but we're going to compete. You know, that's one thing we're all going to do in the Liberty District, compete. But I do think Yorktown is probably head and shoulders better and more experienced than all the teams in the Liberty, but it's not going to be easy. The WNL Yorktown game is going to be, on paper, Yorktown should beat them by 30. But I guarantee, because of their rival and how things, that's going to be a close game as well, too. So that's what makes it fun in our district. We got a lot of good rivals and things like that.
Great coaches. And Tony, Coach Bentley, there's a kid on Marshall. I don't think he played at all last year. He's a really good shooter, about 6'1", looks like he's a wing kid. That's the kid at I think he had 5 3-pointers against Yorktown. So I don't know his name, but good player.
Yeah. I mean, the center that they have is really good.
Crisco.
I like him a lot. He's improved each year. He's gotten better. He's bigger, stronger.
Yeah.
So that helps, you know, with what they do with him in there. So they're always going to be really good. Jerry does a good job with those guys, and so it's going to be competitive coming down the stretch.
Jerry has more coaches than Coach Rivers have.
No more than Potomac, that's for sure.
Oh, no. He doesn't have that many.
I had to get extra chairs every game Potomac came.
Potomac has so many assistant coaches. They got to use cell phones to get the subs in. I mean, they're so far away.
Yeah, they've been doing that for years.
Anyone else want to chime in on Liberty?
I don't know.
We played Yorktown in a tip-off tournament. That's a good team. They strike me as a typical when I mean, other than Wakefield, but like a lot of the Liberty District teams, when they're good, they're very senior laden teams because they execute their stuff so well, and by the time they're seniors, they can almost run their offense in their sleep. So they got talent, they got size. I don't think they're the deepest team in the area. I think that they go about 7 deep. And I know the point guard is really integral to what they do. If they would ever have it,
Jake Cullum.
Yeah, Jake Cullum's a really good point guard. If he would ever go down for an extended period of time or pick up a couple early fouls, I think that's a key for them to keep him on the floor. He's kind of the one guy who's a little bit irreplaceable for them. They're a good team. I've seen Marshall on film a couple times. Another good team. Big kid's good. The shooter was actually a kid that was on JV last year. And then they got I think the little point guard does a good job getting them in their stuff. They're just a solid team. And then I think one of the guy who's kind of under the radar, but who's doing it seems to be doing a really good job this year is Michael Bryan at McLean. They
Always.
lost a lot of guys off of
They
last
lost a
year,
lot of guys.
including the freshman kid who transferred to Episcopal. And he seems like, I don't know if they're going to be competing at the regional level, but deep into the regional tournament. But I feel like he's squeezing a lot out of what he has there, and I feel like he generally does that. I think he's kind of one of those guys, kind of flies under the radar a little bit, but that they're very well coached.
Oh, for
We
sure.
steal inbound plays from Mike.
What was that, Coach?
We steal O'Brien's inbound plays. Like we do. There's like one or two that we put in our pocket that he runs, and come playoff time when we need a great inbound play, we steal one of Obi's.
Yeah. He does a good job. He's he can be a little tough over there on the bench to some of his players. He's a very intense guy, does a super job. Well, let's go to the Patriot. We haven't done a Patriot yet. Coach Craig touched on this. You lost one of the top teams in Alexandria City is not as competitive this year due to some losses, and then obviously Dave is retooling at West Potomac, so some of the favorites have changed a little bit, but it's still going to be a very tough. Robinson's is playing better this year, playing well this year. I think Lake Braddock is better this year. Fairfax is probably falling a little bit this year. So things are changing in the Patriot, but at the end of the day, it's probably still going to be a fairly tough conference. Anybody want to start with? Want to keep going, Coach?
Doug
Craig?
is typically the encyclopedia for our league. He does a really good job of breaking it down. So I'll
When you can't coach, you got to know names.
I'll go from yes, I think I think the top, I think what Doug said earlier about the top tier teams being super top heavy, maybe not quite the same, but I think competitive wise, I definitely know South County, Doug over at Woodson are, supposed to be head and shoulders, the top of the league. And I thought that we battled and competed with South County, yesterday. And then, we played West Springfield, who I think they might play South County in a week or so. And we had a 1-possession game, 2-point game with them. So, I don't know if that's the same level or not, but the outcome was pretty competitive in all ways. So I think it's gonna be that way. Doug has the senior guys that are returning that have experience and have been in those, a lot of big games against good teams. So, he certainly has, we know we play them next week. And, that's the part that is going to be a challenge throughout the year when you have, senior laden teams like you guys were talking about, some of those old Liberty teams that are really good, that have a lot of, 4 and 5, returning guys and guards that have been there for 2 and 3 years. So, I think like he's going to say it's not his guys are figuring it out and blah, 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 blah. He's good. His teams are good. They're going to be good. They're going to play well throughout the year. And they're going to be tough to beat at the end. I think I saw Robinson last week, I think. I saw them play. And again, they have some guys that have been playing for a number of years. I think when Travis first got the job, some of those kids were, just getting going. And so now he's, had some of his same guys for 2 years. And I know the point guard's been starting since he was a freshman, and I think he's a junior now. So, they're feeling confident, and, that's always good. I just think that the Patriot it's a challenge. It's a challenge because so many coaches, we know each other, have been coaching against each other for so long, that, you better do something tricky. The same play is not going to work. Right. So I think that is going to, kind of maybe even it out. Maybe I'm just speaking hopeful for Wednesday. We'll even it out, but I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. Coach Craig, do you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I think well, we had a lot of seniors in our district last year. So a lot of the teams have turned over a lot of personnel, and then obviously, Coach Houston was hit with the transfer portal, unfortunately. Always like to see kids stay home at their base public schools, but I know he's trying to figure that out. That's hard when you lose that kind of talent. It's bad enough when you lose 4 or 5 seniors that can all play, and then you get a couple two, three underclassmen leave you, it's like, oh, like you got to replace everything. It's hard. I think Lake Braddock is much improved. They got a transfer guard, Tai, I don't know the last name, who looks like he's a pretty good player, does some things. They got size, they're really big. They seem like they're a little bit up and down. Like they have some nights where they look really, really good, and then they drop a 30-point game, and like 2 nights later, and you're just kind of like, wow, what happened there? Not that they lost the game to Edison, but I was surprised by the margin. Um, and then, I think one of the coaches is doing a really good job this year. I'm not just saying this because, one of my former assistants, but I think Mike Barbie's doing a hell of a job at Fairfax. I don't think a lot was expected of them, and they're 7-3 right now.
They're
Um,
7-3. I didn't know
they're
that.
7-3. Yeah, with a lot of guys that played freshman and JV last year, he's really only got like one or two guys that saw any minutes for him on the varsity. Um, I think he schedule wise, I think he went with a little bit of a lighter schedule early in the year because he knew he had such a young group, but they're winning those games. And confidence is a funny thing with high school kids, right? Kids play with confidence. All of a sudden, guys that people don't think can do certain things, all of a sudden start doing certain things. So I think they've done a good job. And I'm pretty confident Coach Houston's. I watched that game online yesterday. They looked really, really good against South County, who I think is really good. I know South County's got a guy out with injury right now. It's a pretty good player that he'll be back at some point. That's going to help them. They're very good. I told you guys at the beginning of the year I thought Robinson was a good team. They got a lot of guys that can really shoot the basketball, and if they're making shots, they are very difficult to defend because they got multiple guys that on a given night can hit 5, 6 threes. And when you got a team a team like that's always dangerous because they could just be hot and it's just hard to turn really good shooters off when they get it going. Um, so I think Alexander City's in a bit of a rebuild. They lost their top 7 seniors last year. Like I think like 6 of their top 8 guys were seniors, and then they lose the Bivens kid to transfer. Obviously, they're kind of restarting things over there. I'm pretty confident they'll be much more competitive by the end of the year. I just know Alexander City kids just in generally are tough and physical. They'll figure some things out before too long. So it's another year in the Patriot where every inch of this floor is going to be competed for, and a lot of really good coaches who know what they're doing, and we'll figure it out by the end of the year.
Yeah.
I know
I
Woodson has the worst coach. I can tell you that.
exactly. Well, my man Theo Burke, Sean Burke's son, the soccer coach's son, is doing a solid job. I always like seeing coaches.
He's probably been our most consistent player to start the year. He's committed to go play at York College next
Yeah.
year. A 3-year starter at point guard. Those kind of kids, they just kind of know how to play, and he fits in well with our other guys in that he understands when to go for his and when to kind of pull back and let other guys go. He's just a very experienced player.
Yeah, done a good job. I saw South County against Potomac. That game was the most frenetic game. It was like the old record players. You guys are too young, but they had like 33, 45, and 78, and 78 with the real fast records. That was like played on 78. I mean, the game was just like it was a crazy to watch. But South County definitely has some talent. I could definitely see them, being a competitor, in the competition for districts and also regionals. Let's move to national. In the last several years, it's always come down to Hayfield and Edison, with Hayfield generally getting the best of Edison. Edison once again looks pretty strong. Isaiah Skin, the son of the George Mason coach, is a great addition to that team. But Coach Carlos, what does the national district look like now that you're getting ready to start district play? I think you already had one game, right?
Yeah, we played one game. Who did we play? We played
Come on, man.
Oh, you're gonna forget your district.
No. I know my district. I just forgot
We
who
gave
played.
you enough time to Google it real quick while we were just talking.
But yeah, we played one game so far. I'm looking forward to see how we go versus Annandale. We were supposed to play
You didn't say
Annandale.
who you played. Who'd you play?
I got 3 names. 3.
We were supposed to play Annandale on Friday, and that obviously that got canceled. But when I was watching film on Annandale, they look like a really good shooting team. Like they shooting like 33s a game. It's a really different style that Mac has ever coached before. So that's interesting to see. But he got a couple of guys that can knock shots down. I watched them versus one of the kids has been hitting like five threes a game. So they're solid. I think that they have a chance to be like one of the top 3-4 teams in our district. And TJ beat Edison, so that's always good to see. I had no idea any of TJ's guys because all the guys I knew graduated. And I just feel like our league is young. Like it's a whole bunch of young guys that I don't know yet. And as we start to scout them, I'll get to know some of these players' names and different things of that nature. But I pay attention to Edison a lot because that's our biggest rival, and they gave Westfield a run for their money in their championship game over there. So Edison's gonna be tough. I feel like Isaiah Skin is probably top 5 guards in our region. Top 5 in our region. Lefty, can shoot it, get downhill, and he's a willing passer. So like he's not trying to score 20, 22 a game. He's trying to get 7, 10 assists as well. So and they also got another left hand guard. I think he was at your school though, right? Bentley? It's a left hand guard. I don't know his name, but he's solid too. I like him, and then there's another kid. I think it's a freshman that like a wing forward type. That's pretty good. So like I'm looking forward to play versus everybody in our district to see what it's going to go like the first time around. But as far as names, I have no idea.
You're missing 4 schools.
I talked about the 4 that I know.
Did you say TJ beat Edison?
Yeah, TJ beat Edison.
Wow.
Yeah, I think at a buzzer beater. I think they hit a buzzer beater at Edison.
That's
I don't
a nice
think
win for TJ.
I don't think Skin played in that game.
Oh, Skin didn't play?
Yeah.
Oh.
It makes a difference.
That do make a difference.
Yeah.
Mark's teams are always difficult to play against, though. They're
Always.
very well prepared, very well organized.
Well, anyone else want to chime in on the national?
Has anybody played any of our teams?
We played Mount Vernon.
Oh, Mount Vernon. I heard Mount Vernon's tall, long, athletic.
I don't know. They played zone the entire game.
All right.
Kind of getting tired. I gotta say the toughness of the Westpo Mount Vernon rivalry, man. When you see a team sitting back in a 2-3 zone, talk about changes in 20 years. I'm calling people out. Maybe let's get after it. You know what I mean? Especially when it's not working. Let's get after it. But they're tall. They're tall.
Yeah, I heard they're tall. They're long. They're athletic. I did hear that.
Tall, athletic group of guys out there. So when they line up and people see them, it's not going to be very small guys.
Let me get that film.
So wait, Dave. Let's go back, Dave. So I mean, I get it. Man up is a rival play, but I mean, if they tall and long like that, I mean, you might have to go zone. I mean, I don't know.
Well, if that was a formula that has ever worked in the past, the zone. If it has worked, continue with it. If it's not worked, and then we're all toughing before the game, and then stand out in 2-3 zone. Come on, man. Come on, man. It's not loving you, but they are tall.
Yeah, we played Mount Vernon, and it was an interesting game because we have no rival, nothing with Mount Vernon anymore. Coach and I are good friends. We go play them, and we're up 19-3 at the end of the first quarter.
Wow.
And then we end up winning by 4. So it's one of those type of things when you don't have that, like West Potomac and Mount Vernon, they go after it. That's why David said the things he's saying. And it should be. That's the rival should be. So we jump out on them and then just stop playing basketball. Next thing you know, Mount Vernon kept playing and inched their way into it. It was a 1 possession game with like under a minute to go. We had to hit some free throws to win it. So they'll probably surprise a few people or whatever down the stretch. I haven't played anybody else in the national district, and I don't think we will.
We played
Hey, Coach, is it harder to come back now that there's no one-on-one? So you mentioned that Mount Vernon was able to get back into the game. Do you guys find with the last couple of years of rules where there's not a one-on-one, it's just 2 shots, that it's hard sometimes to get the clock stopped and get the team on the line?
I think it's easier.
Yeah, I like the no one-on-ones. I've gotten used to it already now. I kind of like it. So you have to coach differently. You got to make sure you do fouls, and so I like it. I don't think it, that has anything to do with it.
None of that stuff's gonna matter until
it makes bad foul shooters worse.
Until they put a shot clock in.
Yeah, that's the main thing we need to be fighting for is a shot
clock. It's like and you see the difference in games when you play them and you're down in a game. compared to when you up in a game when there's a shot clock. I mean, the game we played against Landon, we were down 10 with 3.5 minutes to go. We're playing a game in our area. They would have just sat on the ball for 3 minutes, which I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I get it, but I can't
Mike
stand it.
Des.
No, look, I don't give a shit. Like if momentum's gone and it's like 2 minutes left, I'm like, cool. Guess what? Come chase us.
I mean, you got to play to the rules. I mean,
Come
Hey,
chase
That's what I
us.
said. Listen, I said I get it. I just don't like it.
yeah.
And
Wait,
like,
wait a second. Carlos Poindexter held the ball against us when he was 23-0 in the regional tournament in the 3-point game in the fourth quarter about 3 minutes ago because we sat zone and he held the ball. So I don't want to hear Lowe say anything.
Hey, listen. Hey, if this what we on, I wasn't gonna say nothing. But Dave Houston has went into a 2-3 when we scrimmaged him a couple years ago. After he said we weren't gonna play no zone.
Definitely not. When we,
I ain't gonna argue with you.
We certainly talked about how we were going to play, but yeah, I mean
Not in the first quarter.
And in a quarter, if we're saying that we're going to go zone, that we need to try to play a zone, then get your zone offense together.
Sure,
that's
man.
all I was.
That's what we want to say,
that.
but I'm telling you,
But that's not even the same as the end of the game and saying that it's a possession and a possession. 3-minute game, you're down 5. I see no reason to try to score fast. But we've been down 5 and 3 minutes like we were the other day, and there's no shot clock, and we sped them up and got an opportunity and got to the foul line. So I think strategically, the 1-and-1, the two shots actually, I think makes it more challenging for that guy to make a free throw if he's struggling at the free throw line. Now you got to go there and shoot 2. Look silly missing 2. And getting to the bonus and 5 fouls changes everything as opposed to the 7.5. So you can certainly, extend the game longer without a shot clock, I think, with 5 foul quarters as opposed to the 7 for the half. And I think strategically you can do that. But I'm always trying to work on things in scrimmages, and Sherman's trying to win the scrimmage. So yeah, we had a misunderstanding.
We weren't trying to win anything.
a couple of years ago.
We weren't trying to win anything.
Look,
20-0.
Can I just go in a different direction?
So since we weren't trying
away from each other, like, is it true? And I could just text the guy, but I'd rather like if someone else heard this. Did Barbie cut his entire junior class at Fairfax this year?
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think there's a couple juniors, but I don't think he has a lot.
Someone told me he cut a whole class.
Wow.
I mean, I know that class was not his strongest.
Yeah, they bad. Got him.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen, things I've learned on this
I
podcast.
mean, we had during the pandemic, I had a person complain because we didn't actually have any seniors on my team during the pandemic that year. It was all because it was a pandemic and everybody showed up and people tried to try out, and we just picked who we picked, and it just so happened we didn't have any seniors, and people complained that like you're supposed to have a person from the class. And like I had to sit in a Zoom call with a person meeting with the parent because you're supposed to have a senior.
Oh my God.
And I'm like,
wow.
what is that?
Like, listen, the things these parents say are insane. A parent come up to me about a kid on our freshman team. And when I say this kid is on the freshman team just because he is the last one on the freshman team. And this kid's mother comes up to me and said, "Isn't everyone supposed to play?" I said, "No." She said, "Then what did he make the team for?" I said, "You know what? You're right."
Listen,
and I left it at that. I said, so I won't make that mistake again. I can tell you that.
In fairness to the parents saying crazy things, 3 guys on this panel tonight have said absolutely crazy things. Tony Bentley claims he's North Arlington now. Still doesn't know 14 minutes. And Mike Desmond says he has no talent, but he's got a kid.
Right. He's got 2 D1 guys.
So like
be quiet.
Bad aren't necessarily restricted to parents.
Doug, it's been a long time since we played. When you see us, you will think we should have on Columbia blue and white, my man.
I was really shocked, yo. Like, really. I was shocked.
But hey,
who's the big kid for you? I like him. He's solid.
Super Odar. He's good. But again, this is what we talk about. He's 6'7". He's already accepted to UVA, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, 4.3 GPA. Yeah. Very smart. He ain't worried about no basketball.
Yeah.
I love him to death. That's my guy. But he's going to do big things. And so I'm trying to tell, like, my two assistant coaches are George Johnson and Andrew Allen, both superstar players for me in 2007. And they look at me every day in practice and go, like, you have changed. Like, you soft. Like, I want to go out on my own terms. Like, I'm
Right,
not
right.
gonna let these parents and the admin get rid of me because of something I said or did that I used to say back in 2005. That if I say now, I'm done or I'm suspended or whatever it may be. But those are the type of kids. I have great kids. Don't get me wrong, but these kids, they're not like back in the day. I had a couple kids who the only way to college was through basketball, and they did whatever it took to get to that JUCO level, that D3, whatever, because that was it. These kids are already set. College funds already accepted to the top universities. I got 3 kids on my team already accepted to college early admissions. So you think Wakefield basketball is that's just where we are right now, 2025, fellas. It is what it is. I'm coach what I got, what walks through that door. I'm a public school institution.
Yeah.
I get what comes through that door, and that's what I coach. And we go through it.
Hey, Coach Bentley, when I drove to Wakefield for your tournament, more and more of those houses from built in the 50s and they've been more and more getting knocked down.
Yep.
And more big mansions are getting put
Yep.
up in Wakefield neighborhood every single day.
Yeah, we are Central Arlington. We're moving close to North, South, Central. We're right there in the middle now, man. So, yeah.
Well, guys, let's quickly do Loudon. I've seen Riverside a few times. They look great. I don't know how far they'll go, but they got size. They can shoot it. They share the ball. I mean,
Everybody talks about the one kid, but their
Oh,
best
did you play?
player-
Did you play them?
Yeah, we did. Their best player is the kid with the goggles.
Yeah, yes. Like a 6'3" swing guy, right?
He's not anywhere near as good, so don't get it
Marcus
confused. When I
Blouse.
say that.
Marcus Blouse is the kid with the goggles. I
Right,
think.
but he what he does, Los, is what's called did for you.
How King?
Yes,
Yeah.
and so he does all of that. He's not going to miss around the basket. He's going to get loose balls. He's going to get extra shot opportunities, and he plays really, really hard. Like he had 20 and 10 against us.
Yeah.
So I think the other kid is very talented. I don't think he plays very hard all the time, which could get them in trouble. But when he's locked in and engaged, it's very hard to deal with him because he's another one that can get on the glass. He can make shots. I think they got a pretty good team. That's another one I would like to play over again with a team a little bit more experienced. But, they got a lot of kids that have been playing for him for the last few years that can do some stuff. So I see them being Division V, doing very well until they have to play a team like Woodside, and then they're going to get blown out.
Yeah.
Has anybody else played Riverside?
I mean, we played him in a fall event, and like, who cares, right? It's fall, like it's.
Yeah.
You scrimmaged them.
But the kid with the goggles, he reminds me sort of like what's my man's name, Tony? The old man game from 2 years ago at 25 rebounds a night.
Yeah. The guy that I like, Tony. Seth.
Oh,
Seth.
yeah. Seth. My fault. Yeah, Seth.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of similar to Seth. He is. Seth has longer arms, but this kid's a slasher. He's all over the place.
Yeah, he just really does all the hustle stuff for him. And I like the point guard that got the dark skinned kid. He plays at like his own pace. He plays kind of like y'all. Everybody on this pod is old enough to remember Frank Williams, who played at Illinois.
Yeah,
he plays kind of like him, or the pace he plays at. He's not really getting sped up.
Yeah,
kind of like an old man game to him. So they got some pieces. I don't know how deep they are, but their starting group is pretty good.
Yeah,
They're the best team in Loudon.
Yes,
I think so for sure. I think Broad
they
Run
got to be the best team in Loudon for sure.
Yeah, I think Broad Run is solid. I think Loudon Valley is Woodgrove beat them. I think they're pretty solid. I think
they sure Riverside beat Broad Run, didn't they?
Oh, who won between the? I remember. Was it Woodgrove and Riverside? Who won that game?
Riverside.
Oh, Riverside did
by a lot, or
one easy.
It wasn't easy because I watched the film.
They won by 15.
Yeah, but it wasn't easy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Two other teams. Well, we should probably shout out Jeff Hawes at Potomac Falls winning 500 games.
Oh,
Oh
500,
yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
That's a
1000%,
huge
yeah.
number. That's a huge,
For
and they're
sure.
good again as usual. The other team that's having a really good year, and I'm really happy for that school because it's been a struggle. But Heritage in Leesburg is like 9-1, and
Heritage is
that's a
playing
program
well.
that has been
I think
really
that's who beat Riverside. Am
they've
I
been
No,
wrong?
Riverside lost to a team in New Jersey.
they've
Oh
been
no,
really
they Woodrow
down
played them
for a
too.
long
My bad.
time.
That was the one I saw them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a school that has had a huge demographic shift, I believe, in recent years, and has been really struggling in a lot of sports. And their basketball team, I think, is 8-1 or 9. I know they won the Lake Braddock tournament.
No, they're pretty
They
good.
beat an undefeated athlete team in the final. And they're all juniors and sophomores. Like they got a chance to be really good. I just think that we should always acknowledge teams like that really have struggled for a long time and clearly are doing something right and have figured something out. I mean, to be 9-1 is pretty good. I mean, no matter who you're playing, the fact that you win 9 of 10, I think it's pretty. And that's
Yeah,
a school nobody ever talks about.
yeah, the athlete team. Just that same week, I had talked to Matthew Hatfield. We did our preview show for the year. He picked that athlete team as advancing far this year, and then Heritage beats them. That was a nice win. So, well, well, guys, look, this has been great. I wanted to end, and some of you guys, I did a mini panel before, and we're talking about some of the ballers on the staff. But I did want to ask you guys if we did a 3-on-3 tournament with the coaching staffs because I think South Lakes. I don't think Coach Desmond's coaching staff can play basketball anymore. They don't look like
No,
they're
none of us
yeah.
ever could.
So if we did a 3-on-3 tournament with coaching staffs, which team, not just the guys on this call, but which teams in the region do you think would win that 3-on-3 tournament today? Not the way people played when they were in college, but the way they are now.
It's not fair. It's not fair. Not a lot of guys aren't still playing. You do a 3-on-3 standstill shooting shooting game. You might have another one. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Listen,
I heard I follow a lot of your content, Julian. So I heard the podcast with them. Um, I tell you what, I know I used to play when I was assistant coach. I used to get in there, and I've had some of my guys get in there assistant coaches. But I mean, I know my coaching changed completely when I just stopped playing and started focusing on evaluating. Because when you're playing, especially if you're a competitor baller, you're trying to win, right? So although I want my best player to do well, I would like to get this bucket on him and stop him. But when you're on the side, and you're evaluating. But 3-on-3, I don't know, man. I don't know. You got some guys that still hoop. I retired a couple years ago.
I do. I didn't see your podcast on that, Julian, but I'll tell you what, I got on my staff right now, George Johnson, who still plays every day, who was a Division II All-American. I have Andrew Allen, who still plays every day. I have Kenny James, who still plays every day, and I have Marquay Walton, who plays every day. So I got 4 guys right there that I guarantee
So
you.
why are we talking about how many people on my staff and he just named 4 dudes still hooping?
They still hooping, I promise you.
Right.
Yeah.
Edison
Yeah,
got some
all
young guys. Edison got some young guys, right? Trey and the
Yeah.
Ellison
Bravo.
guy, and then
Yeah.
they have who else they got over there? They got another younger guy on staff.
Allison on my staff.
Oh,
I'm about
Ellison's
to
on your
say,
staff.
yeah,
Oh, then it's
he still be
Los's staff.
playing men's league. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Los. It was your staff I was thinking of.
I like Bentley's group. I like Bentley's group. As
Hey,
long as
Hey,
Bart-
yeah, hey, Billy got guys that really still hoop.
Right.
Though.
Yeah.
George called me the other morning, was saying, "Yo, we got a 7 o'clock in the morning bump at St. James." I was like, "Who?" I guess a bunch of guys his age. They were all playing 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday or Friday. I don't know when it was, but no, they still play and they play in practice every day. And that's the thing. I'm like, you understand these ain't the Wakefield guys. This is 2024 Wakefield guys, and these guys are killing high school kids now. So I'm not saying it's a challenge, but I take my 4 guys and they play against anybody. They will play. I'm not saying they will win, but they will play against anybody.
They look very fit. I saw them the other day. They look like
They still play.
yeah.
They still
Hey,
play.
Tony, isn't it funny how all the alumni always tell you all the time that, oh, you've changed, coach. You've
You
changed,
got
coach.
soft.
They just,
Yeah.
you know what? That's not true. Of course you changed. You've been doing it
Yes.
25 years. The stuff that bothered you when you were 28 years old probably doesn't bother you at
It does.
45.
And that's what I'm trying to we talk about the young coaches. I'm trying to get them to understand those guys right now, they are 90% basketball and they have
Yeah.
no idea the other stuff that goes on. I'm trying to teach them, but they don't understand all, like you said, the behind the scenes stuff, the stuff I'm doing with the parents, stuff I'm doing with the admin. it's so much stuff that I'm trying to get them to understand. But that's why I'm saying these dudes are basketball. So if y'all got a 3-on-3 with a sub, I got 4, and we can raise some money. We can do it at Wakefield. Just let me know, bring y'all staffs, whatever. And I got defibrillators. I got all that stuff at the school. Just bring it. We can raise some money. We can raise.
I think that'd be fun. But
that'd be fun.
It'd be fun. People would start trying to recruit just for that tournament. Though they recruit assistant coaches just so they can win that tournament.
Yeah, forget the All-Star game this year. Let's just do coaches this year. Bring your teams.
Yeah.
I'll supply the uniforms, as you guys know. I'll supply the uniforms, and we'll play coaches, bench coaches, 3-on-3, raise some money.
Are we speaking of All-Stars? Are we doing that this year?
Somebody got sponsored that.
Yeah,
that's Jerry, right?
they was doing it, but they stopped doing it or whatever. So
He ain't gonna bring it
I
back.
have no problem getting back into it. I've done it before and could get back into it, with ease. But with how things are so different and I mean, that's for another show.
I went and watched one year.
Listen, we can spend another 45 minutes on that.
Yeah, another show.
But I wouldn't watch one year. They played no defense. It was really I don't want to say it was a farce.
I mean, they learn it from the pros.
But
Right.
yeah, it was really hard to watch. They got music on while they're playing. I'm like, what is this?
All-star game, baby.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, look, guys, I appreciate you jumping on. It looks like we're gonna have a day off tomorrow. But good luck getting back on the courts. Hopefully, you guys get back in the gym by Wednesday. You think?
Yeah, probably won't be back till Wednesday.
I think they're calling for more snow on Friday.
Yeah. Might not be playing at all this week, playing 4 games in a week.
Wow.
Oh, that's what we've been doing all damn season. So
Yeah.
You have.
Well, you did that to yourself.
That's
Yeah,
poor
exactly.
scheduling.
listen, I'm not complaining. I do it every year, so I'm not complaining about it at all. I like it. I think it makes our kids tougher. I think it's getting them ready for the playoff runs. So I'm all
Jason
about
Jason and I are the understated ones. We didn't say anything outlandish today.
Carlos told me he has a game every Saturday to the end of the season.
Listen, that's us all December.
But Carlos can't
January.
name 5
All
of those teams
January.
he's playing.
Listen, when you're the flagship program of the area, people want to see you play. I mean, that's where Los is getting called. He doesn't know the names of the teams in his own district. But he knows-
Hey, I know
I
every
bet
team in
you
my
they
district.
can tell you every Saturday game. I bet you that.
Right.
Oh, man.
Hey, I know every team in my district. That was one time 2 years ago.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
We still wait for him to name him.
Hey, no, man, be good, yo.
No, but look, when someone else was talking, he did whisper, and I heard him. He did admit who he played.
I heard him say it because you laughed.
Hey, you know,
Mike,
hey,
that's
you know why I forgot?
Yes, because you don't care.
right? Because it don't matter.
Jillian, this is the part of the podcast you're going to have to edit out because
Yeah. Hey,
when
coach.
all the parents and all the coaches and all the players
Yeah,
all
hey,
hate each other, and we're not.
Hey,
friends
all
anymore
national
all the
district,
time.
man. I got a lot of love and respect for y'all, man.
Yeah.
I don't
Coach,
know who you are,
when's the last time you
but I
lost?
loved it.
When's the last time
Right.
you lost in the district? When's like 3
Hey,
years?
never, but hopefully that stays the same.
You've never lost in district?
Well, you got to remember it got made what
Not
a few years
national.
ago?
Wow, that's
Well,
that's amazing.
TC Williams did that. They went 52-0 in their district one time. Anybody remember that?
Yeah, I was in that, but that was a good district.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I'm just saying, as far as
It was
like
more than
going
that.
undefeated, I remember TC Williams were like 50-something and 0.
Yeah, we were there too.
70.
It was not fun.
It was
like
like 70-something.
Yeah, it was like four and a half years plus conference play, district tournament. It was something wild. It was a wild number.
Yeah.
It was a wild number. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Carlos,
But I mean,
I was
I
not
forgot
gonna
this
lie.
right.
I
The
ain't gonna lie to
national
y'all.
formed,
We getting up into that number right now.
the national formed after the Gunston broke up. So I forgot about that. Yeah, you've only been in that league for a couple of years.
Yeah, I've been there, what, 3? This is year 4, maybe? This might be year 4.
Yeah, there was a school in the national district that did the same thing Carlos did, but they don't talk about that no more because it was so long ago.
That was Wakefield.
That was Wakefield?
They don't talk about it though. I missed the national district.
We really are.
Yeah. Well,
I heard they're
at least
making
we've had some
changes. They're making
stability.
changes, right? Aren't they making changes to the
Every like
districts
4 or 5 years, it'll probably change back again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the way it is now, but I think the national basketball is one thing. Football is so weak. The national, I mean, it is the weakest football district, and so that I don't know what they can do to make it. I don't know what they can do to make it better. Some of those teams need to go down in class. Like Lewis needs to play, Brentsville and football. They're not going to beat teams around here in football, but
Oh, hey, Tony, do you like the way, like, how the 3 Arlington teams play in the other region? You like that?
yeah,
In the other region, or what do you mean?
Or because before it used to be in our region, right?
No, we're all in the same district and region.
Yeah, but it wasn't like that, Tony, and just 3 years ago, because my son Chandler, we didn't play Wakefield in soccer 3 years ago because they weren't in our district.
But wasn't
I felt like
Wakefield down in
wasn't
Division
Wakefield?
5?
Oh, they were
Oh, they were
five.
Division 5. Yeah,
They were
yeah, yeah.
five.
Right, right,
HB5.
right.
You gotta go back, I think 4 or 5, no, my first 3 years, so 4 years,
I forgot
3
about
years.
that.
When we left the Liberty, Wakefield came in and Marshall came in.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard the next realignment is going to be more on the regional level than on the district level. I think the
Yeah, and
districts are going to stay the same.
Screw us. It's going to screw us.
Yeah, I think you guys are going to be in
Put
with
us
us.
together.
I think the Occoquan and the Prince William teams, I think, are going to be together as the last.
I heard
thing
they're going to make us on our side of Prince William. This is how much it doesn't make sense.
Oh, okay.
They're going to
They're splitting
separate
Prince William
the
County.
region and make us go south, and then have all the ones on the eastern side still stay with the Occoquan. That's what I heard.
How many teams would that be?
The ones that have to go south?
Would it be split in half, 4 and 4, like literally?
No. So their
Like
side
8 and 7.
or 8. We got 6, 7. Yeah.
Plus a couple of Loudon schools are coming up to 6A.
Well, Freedom South Riding is leaving, and Independence is coming in.
And Stonebridge is coming in.
Stonebridge is coming in
I've
too.
heard Stonebridge, Independence, and I forget what the other school is, maybe Champ.
Why do they add them to our
Champ's
district
4.
and not? Why don't they add them to y'all district, Mike?
I know we have 6 teams. Okay, well, again,
Like, they add them to ours like it's close. It's not
No.
close.
put the Liberty and the Concord together. Put the Patriot and whatever Carlos's conference is called together. There's 2 super districts. You play everyone once. There's your district title. Merge regions back together. Stop predetermining this seed versus this team. No, find out how to really seed the teams. Done.
But they're not going to do that because they make us follow the same thing that field hockey follows and that volleyball
It should.
follows.
It's
And
different
so,
sports. Like,
but
yeah, but
I
like,
know,
get it.
but you're
Right,
talking
more
to
districts,
people that aren't
more
even
games,
sports
more
people.
more money that none of us see. Like, cool.
I mean, this is the problem with having 6 classifications is that you're trying to thread a needle to get
Yep, you
enough
can go to 4.
teams in the same area to be in the same district, and it's ridiculous. They got to go back to 3 or 4 classifications, and it'll be so much easier. That means the Loudon teams can slide in and play the teams in the western part of Fairfax, and then it'd be easier to align regions, but they're never going to do it. So I don't know why. I
Bring
keep
3
talking
Loudon
about it.
teams or 4 Loudon teams in the Concord.
What's
Like,
that?
why not?
Yeah.
Bring teams into the Concord. There's 6 of us. It's
What
boring.
are they, because they make so many new schools? I know like their top like a population alignment doesn't really get up that high.
Yeah,
because they
like
open another
Riverside
school.
is 1,800, so it's not
Is
that
that,
big.
I
of a
was going to
school.
ask that. What are they capping out at? Is it
About
2,000?
1,800. Like the schools, like where I live, there
You got to
are
hit like 2,000, I think, for 6, right?
That's what I thought.
yeah.
That's what I thought.
But
They
that's why
build these
it
schools. I
makes
mean, where I live, there's 6 schools within 10-minute drive. 6.
Listen,
Where I live.
Julian brought up my playing career up in Pennsylvania, which was very forgetful. So forgettable. So nobody needs to talk about it. But I can tell you, being from Pennsylvania, they have 6 classifications. They also have 3 times the amount of population in the state that we have in Virginia. It's crazy that we're 6 classifications. We should be 4. It should be.
It would just be easier because even like the Division 6, the reason why Oscar Smith and Lansdowne, we know them so well. There's not that many teams down there that could possibly qualify because there's only like 8.
They're like the only ones down there. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous where they align it. They should be playing Woodside and Maury and those other great programs. It's so frustrating. And it would be nice to play those teams in a state, even like in football. It'd be great if Hayfield would be able to play Maury in football.
Or if
One of
Hayfield
these
could just
days.
play.
What's that?
What?
He
We're not
said,
taping, right? I hit my limit.
and scene.
Hey, Doug is gonna be so furious with Mike Betts when he
I know.
says this.
I gotta edit. I have to edit this thing all night. I'm not gonna be able to release it.
Julian, we'll be looking forward to seeing the next South Lakes head coach on the next podcast.
Damon Johnson, he's ready. He stepped up big when I was on my deathbed, so he's ready.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
y'all are funny. So it is what it is.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. It's been great following her progress. It looks
Yeah.
like an amazing journey you guys have had.
Going well.
So,
Thank you.
well, look, guys, this has been great. We went longer than we usually do, but I guess we usually go longer than we usually do. So, appreciate you doing this. Maybe let's get together before district tournament starts and get caught up again.
Let's quiz Carlos on his teams in his conference now.
Yo, I know all my teams, yo. Chill out.
Sure you do, bro.
Thank,
Stay it.
thank you for having us, Julian.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
All right,
Appreciate it.
Julian.
All right,
Appreciate you
take
having us
care,
on.
fellas.
All right, guys, what's up?